Hello everyone, Mege here, and today I'm bringing you an exclusive guide on the newest For Honor hero, the latest addition to the Knights faction, the Black Prior. Slow and steady but relentless, this hero is really scary in the right hands, and he is scary regardless. I mean, look at him, he's so mean. We're going to go over every single aspect of his moveset, every single move, and explain how the moves works and how it synergizes with the rest of his kit. After that, we're gonna look at punishes and his game plan. Alright, let's start with his basic 2-hit combo Harsh Requiem, which, much like Warlord, can be performed by any combination of light or heavy attacks. So for example, light into light, light into heavy, heavy into light, and of course heavy into heavy. This is a good time to talk about how his lights and heavies behave. His starting lights have superior block. When connecting, they also count as chain starters, of course. This superior block also guarantees a Tenebrous Rising into light attack. We'll talk more about this move later. His chain finisher heavies are undodgeable. As you can see, they track these Orochi's dodges. Moving on, let's take a look at Horizon Spin, the Dark Prior zone attack. It's a melee bash that deals by itself no damage. However, if it connects, it guarantees a light attack from any direction. It counts as a chain starter and can chain into a light or heavy attack regardless of whether you land it or not. Keep in mind that the follow-up attack is considered a chain finisher, and thus, for example, the heavy attacks will track dodges, being undodgeable. Moving on to his dash attack, the Tenebrous Thrust. This attack is pretty standard, doesn't cover that big of a distance, is considered an heavy when parried, and it is a chain starter, regardless of whether you land it or not. What's special about it, however, is that it has superior block frames during the startup. Let's move on to a very powerful move now, Tenebrous Rising, which functions similarly, being a shield bash to Conqueror's shield bash, being performed by forward dodge and pressing the guard break button. By itself, this attack deals no damage, however it counts as a chain starter and can guarantee a light attack. However, you can chain off it only if it connects. You can also get into Tenebrous Rising by pressing the guard break button after connecting a light opener attack. Similarly, moving on to Ox Charge, you can press the guard break button during the wind up of an heavy opener to perform Ox Charge, which is similar to Tenebrous Rising. Just like the other attack, this counts as a chain starter when connecting and guarantees a light attack. What's special about Oak's Charge is that it reaches really far. Both moves are very strong but can also be punished. Let's see how and how easily exactly. Oak's Charge leaves you open a lot of time when whiffing, making punishing it very easily with a dodge into guard break. Tenebrous Rising out of a dodge can still be punished by dodge into guard break, but the timing is much more strict. However, the opponent cannot punish it when it's performed after a successful light with a dodge into guard break. They will have to resort to dodge attacks or the likes. Since we talked about his dodge attacks, let's also mention that this character dodges will move the guard in the direction of the dodge. However, this is not a superior block and will not allow him to get a guard break on the opponent. Let's also cover his sprint attack, which is nothing special, fairly slow but reaches a wide area. Let's now get into this character's special stance, the Bulwark stance, which, just like an old block, is performed by holding down your guard stick. It costs some stamina to enter, but after that there is no stamina consumption, no stamina drain. However, it also prevents your stamina from regenerating. As you can see, you can move around a little when you are in Bulwark stance. To exit Bulwark stance, simply let go of the stick again. You can enter Bulwark stance after any light or heavy attack. You can also enter it after blocking any attack. While in Bulwark stance, you will gain a regular block in all directions. However, every blocked attack will drain your stamina a bit. While in Bulwark stance, you cannot counter guard break or guard break yourself. While in Bulwark stance, you gain access to Bulwark Slash, which is a wide-reaching, unblockable attack. Just like heavy attacks, this one can be feinted with the feint button. And lastly, let's go over Bulwark counter. By pressing light attack while in Bulwark stance, you will perform a parry-like move, which, with the right timing, can counter pretty much any move in the game beside guard breaks. Even unblockables and melee attacks. Even grab-like attacks, like Highlander's Cavertus. Let's now take a look at the character's punishes, starting off with guard break. For a guard break, a top heavy is too slow, and thus we go for a side heavy for 30 damage. Alternatively, you can go for a light into Tenebrous Rising into Confirmed Light for 35 damage. This is by no means guaranteed, but it might still catch your opponent off guard if used sparingly and if you really need that 5 more damage. Moving on, let's talk about Wallsplat punishes. Most of the time we get a side heavy. Keep in mind, as usual, to throw the heavy from the same direction your guard was in before throwing the opponent. We can also get a top heavy, given there is enough distance. However, I found this kinda iffy and usually not worth the risk for the 5 extra damage. Moving on to parries, on an heavy parry we can get a Tenebrous Rising into light attack for 20 damage. You can also simply opt for a light for 15 damage, which can, however, potentially, just like before, follow up with a Tenebrous Rising into a non-guaranteed, mind you, light attack for 35 damage. On a light parry, we get a top heavy for 35 damage. Let's now move to auto stamina punishes, starting with an auto stamina throw with a side light into top heavy for 55 damage. You can throw in any direction and it will always connect. Just keep in mind not to use the top light, since that will always whiff, even very up close. And lastly, the auto stamina parry, which guarantees an FT 70 damage with a side heavy into top heavy. Lastly, I want to talk about the character's auto stamina pressure, which, to be honest, I think is too good and hope it gets patched down the line. But since it's currently into the game, let's see how it works. As you know, when the opponent is out of stamina, blocking light attack will not make them bounce off his guard. This means that after blocking a light attack, the opponent will experience a very brief hit stun. And this hit stun allows us to get a guaranteed Tenebris Rising into light attack. We can do this over and over. Not only does it guarantee damage, but it also stops the stamina regeneration of the opponent. As you can clearly see, this is very oppressive. Of course, the auto stamina player can in turn try and parry the light attacks. However, there is a great risk in that, because of course, if they read incorrectly, they will get a 70 damage auto stamina parry punish. I don't know if this will make it to the live version of the game, I honestly hope not, but I guess we will see, and in case I want to bring this to the general public's attention, even though I'm pretty sure it's gonna be brought to it by itself anyway, so that Ubisoft can maybe look into this, because I really feel this is too good. Alright, let's now talk about the character's game plan, and sadly at the moment of recording this I don't have much footage against real players, but there will be plenty of footage in the following days, even starting tomorrow, so make sure to check my channel for more gameplay and maybe you can take some direct pointers from it. Anyway, let's go over the basics of his game plan. His natural offense is nothing exceptional, both his starting lights and chained lights are 500 milliseconds and thus usually easily blocked at high level. Regardless, if the opponent is very happy, you can, of course, naturally go for heavy feints. Always mix up your offense as usual. Of course, if your opponent is dodge happy, always keep in mind that your chain finisher heavies are undodgeable. What makes this character's offense very good is of course his bashes, starting with Tenebris Rising. As mentioned, it's fairly fast, hardly reactable and fairly safe. It can also be delayed a lot into the dash, just like Conqueror's Shield Bash. This makes it even harder for the opponent to react to it, and you can usually get a guard break if you bait them right. Keep in mind though that, unlike Conqueror's Shield Bash, Tenebris Rising can only be initiated from a forward dash. This means you can't really use it to whiff punish. The zone attack Horizon Spin complements Tenebris Rising really well, as it has a different dodge timing compared to the bash. This means that the opponent cannot safely dodge as soon as they see the unblockable glow. The last of the bashes, Oak's Charge, usually isn't as useful, unless your opponent is really keen on dodging or parrying your heavy attacks. Also, while the great range might seem like a redeeming factor for it, practically speaking, from that distance Oak's Charge is the only thing you can threaten your opponents with, and thus they will usually always expect it. Moving on to his defense, before talking about the obvious Bulwark stance and Bulwark counter, I also want to mention his superior block counters, which, while really good, you have to keep in mind as defensive options cannot be feinted. Thus, always be careful as they can be easily baited from the opponent. Finally, let's talk about Bulwark stance and what really makes this hero the beast he is. Remember that Bulwark counter can counter virtually any move in the game besides guard break. This makes it very potent, especially when coupled with the fact that this character can enter Bulwark stance very easily very often. Ultimately, his game plan is about alternating his strong offense and strong defense fluidly between one another as to always keep your opponent guessing as to what your next options will be. Alright guys, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, I hope you enjoyed the guide and found it useful. If you did, please do consider liking the video and maybe subscribing. And also, please leave a comment letting me know what you think of this new hero and this guide. Also, feel free to comment about any changes or something that I might have missed in this guide, some new punishes for example that are found, and I will make sure to include them in the pinned post down below. Keep an eye out for more gameplay of the Black Prior on my channel. Hope you all have a good day. I'm going to see you all next time.